What's you got? Is wide.
It's terrible. I think it's awful. I think it's absolutely horrendous.
A second of the penalty on the play, and I'm like, what?
Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk from two men in the know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
Join us on the phone. We have NFL prospect and future XFL player Jeremiah Spicer.
Oh, no, man. I don't like to talk about my stuff like that, man.
Yeah. I told him if the Raiders took in Oliver, I was going to take him in the bathroom. He won twice.
Dude, last time I checked, I am God, so slow your roll. Slow your roll down.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me, Joe's not there, but you are lucky tonight because we have him on the phone straight from Titusville, Florida here. Joe DeCapita is joining us there from Florida. How's it going in Florida today, Joe?
What's going on, Nodos? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the No Show. I am in Florida, Jim's in New York, and we're going to make this thing work.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to do it on my own, and I thought I'd do a pretty good job here, but it's still not the same without you here, Joe. And I love to hear your input, especially if it's championship weekend here. I mean, it's the conference championships. We decide, or we see who goes to the Super Bowl after this weekend, so it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, definitely. It sure is. It's going to be amazing. I mean, look at what's happened, what has transpired up to this point now. Isn't it just, this is what the playoffs are all about. I mean, think about this. The Tennessee Titans went into Baltimore. Nobody, and I mean nobody, saw this coming. The Titans came away with a win in Baltimore, beating the number one seed in the AFC, and now they move on to the championship game. That in alone is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and they've done it all here on the shoulders of Derrick Henry again. And when you know that the game plan has got to be stop Derrick Henry and put the weight of the shoulders here on Ryan Tannehill, they still pound the rock and still get it done with Derrick Henry here against the Baltimore Ravens team again, where a lot of people again saw this defense even playing well. I think a lot of these players were really just talking a lot of trash to the Tennessee Titans, didn't respect them at all, thought they're going to come in here and do the same thing that they've done to everyone else. And what's funny about this game is you and I talked about it last week before the game started. We said there was going to be a little bit of the Baltimore Ravens coming off slow in the beginning, a little lethargic, and I think they just got kind of caught straight up with their pants down. They just weren't ready.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it came down to. You could see it early on in the game, having almost exactly 3 weeks of rest and then trying to come in and play a game at the game speed, at the level of professionalism that is the NFL. It was just a little too much early on. They did gain some traction a little later, but the Titans were already ahead. They weren't going to relinquish that lead that they had, and and here's the other crazy thing, is the Baltimore Ravens going into that game were a top 5 against the run. And everybody was speculating about Derrick Henry. Whoa, is he going to be able to do what he did the previous week? Is he going to get over 100? What's the over-under on 100 yards for this game? Everybody was betting on under. Everybody. And they superseded that expectation. They went into Baltimore, Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. Now, we talked about this last week and said that Ryan Tannehill would have to play a major role, and he did. But they still were able to run the ball. They still were able to mix it up between the pass and the run to keep the Baltimore Ravens on their heels the whole entire game. And we got to give up a lot of kudos to the Titans' defense. The Titans' defense went in there. They got Adoree Jackson back at corner going into Baltimore. What a huge upgrade that was for their secondary. And to go in there and to basically shut down. They slowed them down a little bit, but they really did shut down the Baltimore offense, something that we haven't seen since the last playoff game that they went up against the Chargers. Now you fast forward to this year. Wow, what a game. It was awesome. It was a good back-and-forth game. But a pleasant surprise for some fans out there, not so pleasant for the Baltimore fans. But in the end, Titans win.
Absolutely, and they did whatever it took to get it done. And we saw a little mix of plays here and there, too. Derrick Henry even throwing a touchdown pass. It was only for 3 yards, but it got it done. They got the touchdown there. And on the other side...
Yeah, it was almost like a free throw.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a little jump shot.
And then on the other side of the whole spectrum here with the AFC... with the Texans here going down to the Chargers, they had a huge lead, and they start doing fake punts and everything else, and everything's going for them, and then it turns around on them just like that. And Patrick Mahomes, they had that little bit of rust they needed to knock off here, because the Texans, they've been playing and they've been in football shape and keeping it going here. They haven't been resting, much like the Chiefs here were resting the last couple of weeks, much like the Baltimore Ravens, and they were a little rusty, but then they just hit the switch and just rock and rolled, and then the rest is history. And then the Texans saw themselves behind and they couldn't come back.
Right. I mean, isn't this like it's actually amazing to me that the Texans, they went in there and they actually surprised. I mean, pretty much punched the Chiefs square in the mouth early on in that game and said, "No, we're coming into your place. We're gonna show you how to win a football game, and we're gonna put points up on you. We're going to maintain it." Oh, wait a second. No, we forgot the last part, to maintain the lead, right? A lot of problems with this coaching staff for the Texans. They went in there, they got that big lead, and then for them to relinquish it right down into the second half of the game. I mean, the Chiefs came back, but they got back by turnovers. They got back by poor coaching decisions by Bill O'Brien, which, I mean, it was right there throughout the game. We all witnessed it. There was a couple of major decisions that he had to make that, to us on the outside, didn't look like it was that hard to make. But until, when you don't go for it, when you have your foot on the Chiefs' throat, you drive all the way down into the red zone. You're at the 11-yard line. It's 4th down. He had the opportunity to say, "Hey, you know what? We're already up by 3 scores. Let's go for it. Let's try to get that first down. We get it, or maybe you get a score off of it, whatever." And even if you don't, you give up the ball to the Chiefs at the 11-yard line, their own 11. And then the other bad decision was when you decided to fake punt it, like you just brought up, Jim. It's when they were deep in their own territory. They were at somewhere around their 30-yard line on their side of the field. And for them to say, "Oh, no, we're going to fake punt this." Well, Bill, what are you doing? You fake punt it on your own side at about the 30-yard line, and if you don't get it, you're giving the Chiefs an opportunity, a great opportunity, to not only be already in field goal range, but also a chance to have another score. And that's what exactly happened. So Bill O'Brien, in my eyes, single-handedly ripped the carpet from underneath the Texans players and gave the game away to the Chiefs. By his poor decision-making throughout that game, that should not even have been close. They should have handily had that game well in hand, and because of Bill O'Brien's negligence and poor coaching decisions, I get it. There was mistakes made on the football field. But I think with his decision-making as a head football coach of the Houston Texans, he literally ruined that game for the players.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when it comes down to now is after this season, all this time, has Bill O'Brien maybe been the problem for this team not being able to advance further with some of the decisions he's gone and made, despite having, some of the quarterback issues and injuries that have plagued this team that have kind of kept him in that head coach role with a job. So we'll see what happens moving forward with them. But now go ahead.
Isn't that the craziest thing, though, is Bill O'Brien? I think Houston fans, they've seen enough from this guy. They've seen even last year, there was rumors about him possibly being fired last season. And for that not to happen, given another chance to attempt to take this team and is where they got to this year and have the game and to give it up in the end, isn't that enough evidence for the owner for the GM to be like, you know what, this guy's not the answer. He's had all these opportunities. He's had plenty of talent on this team to utilize to get them past a playoff game, to get them into the championship game, to get them even farther into the Super Bowl, and he just keeps failing playoff game after playoff game. I think it's now the curtain call has to be made, and Bill O'Brien has to be fired. And unfortunately, what's come and gone already? What they like to call Black Monday. The first Monday after this season is over for a lot of these NFL teams. They made their firings and made their thing. Now the Houston Texans, it's like, okay, your Black Monday just happened. You had an opportunity to fire Bill O'Brien. Guess what? He's still in the building. Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure the Texans in the near future are going to be much better because Bill O'Brien himself is going to hold this team back.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. That's an interesting take on this, and we'll see what goes on forward with the Houston Texans now sitting back home to watch the Super Bowl and not being in sunny Miami, Florida, which Joe right now is in Titusville, Florida, and that's outside. Is that outside Tampa right now? Is that somewhere outside there, or where's Titansville now?
Titusville's on the East Coast. It's
East Coast.
About 30 minutes east of Orlando.
Ah, okay, excellent, sweet. So, how's it going there? You enjoying your time? You know, beautiful.
It's beautiful, man. I mean, it's Florida. It's it is what it is. Sunshine, and 80 degrees. It's just beautiful.
Excellent. Well, you know what? We have this weekend a beautiful matchup between the Tennessee Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to be talking about that here. Now we've got two different teams that we've it's almost a perfect story here. I can totally see Joe Tessitore narrating this story here, where we've got the Kansas City Chiefs, their redemption song. They get to come back through. They don't have to deal with the Patriots. You've got the high-flying Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, speedy Tyreek Hill here, and you've got Travis Kelce making the touchdown grabs. And on the other hand, you have the Cinderella story, the Tennessee Titans. Everybody counted them out early in the beginning of the season. Marcus Mariota was going to be the future. Nope, they go and make the switch to Ryan Tannehill. He's been phenomenal throughout the rest of the season. And now they make it through the playoffs. And you and I also talked about this earlier these past couple of weeks, is when you rest players like the Houston Texans did and they faced the Titans, you allowed this team to make it into the playoffs. And you might not want to do that. You could be, this team can be sneaky on you, and look what happened. This team got into the playoffs. It has eliminated some of the bigger threats, and some of the teams that people thought would even go far in this and make it to the Super Bowl. The Patriots, the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, two of the major teams here, players ousted by the Tennessee Titans here in this run-first offense, play it safe, and Ryan Tannehill making great, accurate throws here and a well-balanced offense altogether. And like you said earlier, this defense really stepping up here and making some plays. What do you think about this matchup here between the Tennessee Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah, isn't this the most amazing story so far as the Tennessee Titans? I mean, look who they've beaten in the last 3 weeks of football for the Titans. They've shown that they could beat the Texans. They've shown that they could beat the Patriots. They've shown they could beat. They even shown they could beat the Baltimore Ravens, the number one seed in the AFC. I mean, this team has been. We talked about it last week about how high and how hot this team has been riding this wave into the playoffs, and how well they've been playing defensively and offensively. They've just been such a solid unit. It looks like now you could just say it. I'm going to say it. Tennessee Titans, to me, are the favorite right now. I mean, they are such a hot team right now, and how well they've been playing defensively, how well they've been playing offensively. They've just been running on all cylinders and killing the competition. Now they got yet another tough matchup going into the city to try to attempt to knock off another high caliber team in the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is going to be another great game. I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those games, unlike what we've seen before, where it's going to be a lot of back and forth. There's going to be some big time defensive plays made in this game by both sides. I do give the edge to the Tennessee Titans in this one, because I think they are a more complete and hotter team coming into this matchup. even though they are going to have to play in Kansas City, which is a tough place to play for anybody. The Kansas City Chiefs, listen, they didn't look like an offense that was super hot last week. They kind of spit and sputtered at times. They really couldn't find their way. They couldn't really run the ball like Andy Reid likes to run the ball. It looked like a lot of the weight and pressure was on Patrick Mahomes' shoulders, and he had to try to make something happen, which he did. But that offense that we saw earlier in this regular season, where it was almost like unstoppable, is now starting to stunt and slow down a little bit on itself. Defensively, the Chiefs, to me, are still in that iffy bracket. They're still like, they're not great, they're not terrible, but, I mean, I think they're going to give up some things to these Tennessee Titans on offense. So, for me, I really do like the Tennessee Titans going into Kansas City and stealing a win from the Chiefs.
Absolutely, I hear you there. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it here, you Logan Ryan, he's been great throughout the playoffs here. All these guys, he stepped up. He's got 19 tackles. He leads the postseason right here in tackles. But right underneath him, he's got his other players here on the secondary. He's still getting the tackles and interceptions. And Derrick Henry, if you look at him, he's got 377 yards, leads in the postseason just like he did in the regular season. He's got one rushing touchdown, 3 receptions for 29 yards, and he leads his receivers, though. This is the problem I have with the Titans here, is that he's the leading receiver at this point in the playoffs. Now, I think in order to make it past the Kansas City Chiefs here, I think they need to show even, too, that Ryan Tannehill can even make not only just the safe throws enough to get them the first downs when they need them, but we've seen him be a little shaky here now in the postseason, just that little bit. You remember in the regular season, he had a 118 QBR. He was throwing 60%. Now in the postseason, he's got 3 touchdowns and 1 interception, and he's at an 88.3 rate. In a completion percentage of only about 50% now. So he's getting a little more pressure, but that happens also in the postseason too. You're playing a lot more elite teams.
Yeah, but I think in that aspect, if you're looking at those stats for the playoffs, yeah, he doesn't have as high of a completion percentage in the playoffs, but that's also because he's not even being asked to do a whole heck of a lot. And the little bit that he's been asked to do, there's been drops made by these third and fourth string receivers that really, and even Corey Davis. I mean, Corey Davis hasn't had the surest hands this season like he was in the previous year. So he's had a couple of drops. Then you got Tajay Sharp dropping the ball a little bit. And then you have this other guy, Jennings, who dropped a clear touchdown. I mean, Ryan Tannehill delivered a laser into the end zone. Should have been an easy touchdown for the Titans last week. And Jennings just flat out dropped it. So, I mean, there are drops being made, and that's kind of going to play with those numbers for Ryan Tannehill. I don't think Tannehill's been he's had the luxury to not have to be the sole guy to make this offense run. So what's been a luxury for the Tennessee Titans right now is that they can pick and choose how they want to run their offense. And Tannehill, luckily, so far hasn't had to have the 100% pressure on his shoulders because he has a phenomenal tailback that he can release some of that pressure to, and they've killed it in the run game. So I think coming into this Kansas City matchup, like you just brought up, like, yeah, Ryan Tannehill may be asked to do a little bit more, but that's only depending if the Chiefs can stop this juggernaut of a running attack that is the Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry. I mean, I don't know if the Chiefs have the capability to slow this run game down. They haven't been able to do it against the Texans. The Texans just got away from it and started throwing the ball more often, but they could run on them. So unless the Chiefs can stop that run game for the Tennessee Titans, I don't think Tannehill is going to really have to worry about throwing the ball all over the place. You know what I mean? Because Tannehill, I think he will answer the call if need be. He will be that guy that's going to deliver the football and thread the needle when he's asked to. And the receivers have to step up in this game. They can't afford all these drops that they've had in the past couple of weeks. A.J. Brown was a huge and hot commodity coming throughout the whole regular season. And into the playoffs, they're not being asked to throw the ball a whole heck of a lot. And teams are keen on A.J. Brown. They're double-teaming him. They're worried about him. Now you have to see these other receivers. If they do the same thing again, say if they shade Tyrann Mathieu over to wherever A.J. Brown is lining up, you already know they're going to try to double team him. So Corey Davis and the company of receivers, they got to step their game up. They got to make the catches count.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, I understand you completely there too, and the key for the Tennessee Titans here too is you just got to limit any kind of pressure here from Frank Clark, because he's been on fire in this playoffs here for them. Last week he had 3 sacks in the game, but finally he's showing up, for the money that they've been paying this guy. And yeah, right. And now Travis Kelce though too. Again, he had that early drop, which I think he was just not ready to turn up the field earlier. Someone just kind of muffed it right off his hands. But he comes up and gets the 3 touchdowns for the Kansas City Chiefs here too. I think that's the major player they need to shut down in this game. Yes, you have Sammy Watkins. Yes, you have Tyreek Hill. But I think the key for the Tennessee Titans is lock down Kelce. And then I think their corners and everyone else can kind of handle Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins on the outsides here. And Chris Jones, he did not practice, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to be healthy for this game. But if he is, he's going to be a much needed help for this Kansas City defense. Because, like you said, if the top 5th ranked running defense, which is the Baltimore Ravens, couldn't stop Henry, I don't know who can then. So this is going to be a close one. I really like the Titans in this one, and the only reason I'm going for the Chiefs is because when the playoffs started, somebody asked me who did I think was going to be making it to the Super Bowl. I said Chiefs 49ers. So right now I'm looking pretty good, and I'm going to stick with it, I guess. But if the Titans go, that's what's great about this playoffs. The Patriots aren't in it, so I could be happy about whoever makes it in it. And this is a wonderful story. If the Titans make it, I'm ecstatic. If the Chiefs go, Andy Reid, maybe he gets his redemption song here too in the Super Bowl and can come away with a win too as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just won't be against the Eagles.
Unfortunately, it won't be against the Eagles. Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to our NFC Championship matchup here. We have the Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers. Now, again, this last week, a lot of speculation on who might take that game. A lot of people were going with the Seahawks against the Packers because the Packers have been this team that has been Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. We've talked about that many times, too. The defense would show up at one game, and then they wouldn't show up at other. And then all of a sudden, Matt LaFleur's offense would spit and sputter, and then sometimes they'd just pound you with some points here. And last time these two teams faced, the 49ers just decimated the Green Bay Packers. So a lot of people are saying, they've asked Matt LaFleur, have you learned something from the last time? And, is this going to be a closer game here? Or are we going to see more of what we saw last time? And now on the other side with the San Francisco 49ers, there were some even questions answered with them on how are they going to step up in the playoffs here, even having the rest. And they've been that team that they have always been. A great defense. They're kind of run first, and it's not just, Tevin Coleman. Tevin Coleman lit it up with 22 attempts and 105 yards, 2 TDs. But even Raheem Mostert, he had 58 yards, and even Matt Breida got a little bit. So they're mixing it up there, too. My only one thing here with the 49ers, too, is Jimmy G. Again, questions with him with the 1 touchdown and the 1 interception here for 131 yards. How is he going to shape up against this team and against the big pressure again?
Yeah, that's the funny thing that everybody keeps pointing at Jimmy G. Oh, my God, he only had this for stats, and he only did this much for throwing. Yeah, that's great and all, but that's because, again, the 49ers are their offense is similar to what the Tennessee Titans are going through right now. They haven't had to throw the ball. They just haven't. So Jimmy G isn't asked to do hardly anything but hand the ball off, dump it off to George Kittle once in a while. You know what I mean? Throw it to one of the running backs. And the funny, interesting thing about this backfield for the San Francisco 49ers is it's not Tevin Coleman who they brought in free agency with a high price number. It's not Matt Breida, who a lot of people in the offseason pointed to him as being possibly the starter. It's actually Raheem Mostert is the guy that's actually been catapulting in front of all of those guys. He's been the more reliable running back out of this backfield than Matt Breida, than Tevin Coleman. Whenever he's given the rock, he averages more per touch. It's absolutely insane. So they have like an all-star cast in the backfield for the Niners, and they're going to run the ball. I mean, you guys, these Packers, they're going to have to try to stop the run. And we've seen the Packers defense kind of be up and down, up and down. We don't know what to expect. They've been playing great in the playoffs right now. But let's see what happens when they go up against the Niners yet again. Will they be able to stop this run? And if so, then you're going to see Jimmy G take over a little bit more often. You're going to see him throw the ball a little bit more often. And I'm sorry, but Emmanuel Sanders was probably the best trade that this 49ers team could have ever done. Give Jimmy G more help, more talent at that receiver position. Now that you have Emmanuel Sanders, he's a veteran. He's a guy that gets open all the time. He's a sure-handed receiver. You also have George Kittle. You have these running backs. There's a lot to like with this team going in against this Packer team. And not to mention, this kind of was an oversight on a lot of people who didn't really bring this up last week, is that this San Francisco defense, as good as it's ever been all season long, is now completely healthy. All the guys that have been missing till this point, they get back their linebacker from Tampa in is it Quan Alexander? Is that I think that's Quan Alexander is healthy. He came back this past week, played a phenomenal game. D Ford completely healthy. He's back, wreaking havoc in the backfield. Richard Sherman is 100% healthy now. You know, the Jaquez Tart is healthy in the backfield for them. A lot of pieces on that defense are now 100% healthy. And this defense, we thought it was lethal before. Now it's even more going to go up against the Green Bay Packers. It will be an amazing bout between these two teams because we saw what they did in the previous game that they had. The Packers, on the other hand, I have a little bit of concern about the Packers. I think they've learned a lot the last time they faced against the Niners. However, what I didn't notice is we talked about not just Davante Adams, we talked about the other receivers on that Green Bay Packers team to step up. I wanted to see something from Geronimo Allison. I wanted to see something about Marcus Valdez-Scantling. I wanted to see those guys take a big step forward last week, and I didn't see it. Geronimo Allison had a drop. You know what I mean? Marcus Valdez-Scantling wasn't even as big of a playmaker as I thought he was going to be in this past week's game. It was all Davante Adams again. So what do you think the Niners are going to do on defense? Well, it's pretty easy. They're going to double-team Davante Adams, and they're going to play their normal defense against the rest of the receivers. And if Jimmy Graham and these receivers, these secondary receivers past Adams, can't step up and help Aaron Rodgers out, this could be an ugly game in the end. I don't think it'll be, but it's got to be at some level. There's got to be some concern on the Green Bay's part that these guys are not stepping up and helping this offense after Davante Adams is all said and done. Aaron Jones, great running back. He's shown everybody what he can do this season. Some people he surprised, others, like us, knew he had a bright future, and it was displayed this year. They are going to rely on him in the run game, obviously. Clearly, they're going to test this San Francisco 49ers defense yet again, see if they can slow down the running game. If they do, they're going to make this Packers team one-dimensional. That is not a good thing no matter what team it is. So for me, in this game, I did pick the Niners last week. I'm going to stick with the Niners this week now that they have a completely healthy defense. And I think the Niners offense is going to do enough to take the lead, and I don't think they're going to give it back up.
All right, there you go. Joe picks the 49ers on this one, and I'm going to agree with him as well here, too, because, again, when you look at the Packers, how inconsistent they've been, and they had Aaron Rodgers to rely on with this team and try and get it done on his own, and we saw the difference when Davante Adams, when he was injured earlier on in the season, you saw the difference when he wasn't in the game. It was killing him that he couldn't get into the game. Other players needed to step up, but they didn't, and you saw Jimmy Graham where he had the opportunities to step up, and instead he's going for one-handed catches and not bringing in the key moments. That's why it even kind of surprised me on that last play of the game there. That really sealed the deal for the team for the game. On that third down play, Aaron Rodgers threw it low off his back foot, and Jimmy Graham went up and made the catch, stumbling forward. And how they didn't go into they did go into review on the play, but I mean that was such a close play for that third down conversion, which was crazy. Right. And the fact that this team, you're shutting down Russell Wilson for, I'd say, at least 70% of the game. And then the last, part of the third quarter into the fourth, you're just letting Seattle and Russell Wilson basically on his own come back and almost beat you right here after you had that huge lead. And some of the play calling, again, is suspect by Matt LaFleur. And the fact that they've gotten lucky because of they have Devontae Adams here on that big deep corner route that he did on who was it that he burned? I can't remember at this point, but on that big play, Trey Flowers, that's right. If he doesn't make that nice cut and over there and burns his man, I mean, you just had 2 incomplete passes right there. You stopped the clock for Russell Wilson, and you give him time left over on that play. Instead, Devontae Adams makes a big play. It's a big play for a first down, and the rest is history, as we know. Now it's tough to live on the edge like that when you're trying to be in here. And last week we asked for the Smith brothers to step up. Yes, they got 2 sacks apiece there too. But again, against a team that's looking to grind it out and has a tough defense as well, I see Aaron Rodgers getting frustrated with this defensive attack here on them. And like you said, all you got to do is double up Devontae Adams, and then you've got to say these other guys to step up. I know Geronimo Allison, he had a limited practice, so he's dealing with a little bit of an injury here, but he'll still be playing. And then Jimmy Graham, there's the question always that we've been asking, is he going to step up? This is the time where he needs to, and I don't think it's enough. I have to say it's the 49ers as well. I'm sticking with it. Chiefs 49ers in the Super Bowl. You like the 49ers and the Tennessee Titans, which I would love that Super Bowl as well. That's what's exciting about here. Super Bowl 54 in Miami. We got a bunch of great matchups. I could care who cares or who wins or less. I mean, I'm going to have a good time. I don't know about you, Joe.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be both games are going to be absolutely amazing. They're going to be what we look forward to in the playoffs. We don't look forward to blowouts and, just one-sided games. So far, these playoffs actually have been pretty exciting no matter what game you've watched. And for this matchup to happen, I think is the perfect blend of teams to come down into the wire right before Super Bowl. And some of them are surprising. Tennessee Titans surprised us. We didn't know how far they were going to get. They are right here at the doorstep of the Super Bowl. They just need to take down one more team to get there. Can they do it? We're going to see it when the game starts. But before we move on, I just wanted to touch on something. And Jim, I wanted to ask you this question. I've been dying to ask you this question. I've asked it to a couple of people. I've had mixed responses, but that critical first down mark where the Green Bay Packers and Seattle Seahawks were playing, Packers needed a first down to keep the drive going, to kill the rest of the clock. Jimmy Graham catches the ball. He gets dragged down head first. His helmet touches. Was it a first down or not?
Yeah, I know. I had this debate too as well, and I'm glad you asked this question because I say just because of the fact of the spot that they had and the fact that they called it a first down, I think helped influence the overall decision that it was a first down. Now, for my opinion, honestly, I think he was behind the line. I thought it was really gratuitous mark for them, where they marked him down, where that line judge saw it and then gave him the mark.
Right.
I thought they gave him a little extra. And when you looked at it, and it was kind of funny because they were under the booth for a while looking at this play. Yeah. Then finally they come out and they give you their stand. They said it play stands. Then for him to immediately run back to the hood again.
Yeah.
And then they come back and they said, we've got additional evidence now, or in footage, but the play, it doesn't change the play. The play still stands. I'm like, okay. It was almost like, again, the New York was like, wait a minute, it stands?
Right.
Wait, watch this now. And then they watched it again. They're like, no, it still stands.
Yeah.
It's almost
Yeah,
like they wanted to get it over with or something. And this is the thing with these calls. When they're sketchy like this and you do these things, like, it's one thing you can tell me that you're being honest with me, but all of a sudden, if you change your story like 2 different times or so within that,
Right.
I'm starting to not believe you. We see this all the time with
Yeah.
crime investigation stories. We've seen this
That's
too many
right.
times, right? And so I believe, in my opinion, that he didn't
Yeah.
make it, and they should have at least said it's 4th down. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to try
Yeah.
and do the sneak, or what is the
Mm-hmm.
Green Bay Packers going to do? And Seattle's got that chance to do it.
Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
what do you see?
And this is the craziest part of the story too. Is you talk, and we've seen this throughout the whole entire year. This year, fans have been irate, pissed off, angry at the officiating, at the head official Al Riviera in New York for his poor decisions in for or against certain penalties, and some games, even in some games, being so one-sided where it definitely hindered the outcome of the football game. This is why fans and guys like us get so mad week to week with these officials, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. Hopefully the NFL in the offseason can figure some new things out, maybe fire Al Riviera, get him out of there because he's not doing a good job. Get someone else in there, and let's see what happens in the near future. But going back to this play, this is what I saw. Now, I've seen the tweet that Devontae Adams had out there where he basically, we've all seen the yellow line, the imaginary yellow line that is supposed to be where the first down marker is.
Right.
Well, in that particular play, that yellow line was a little off. It was a little forward. It wasn't necessarily on the first down marker. So Devontae Adams did the kind thing to try to shut everybody up and said, here. So he had a red line that he put on the picture. He had a freeze frame picture where Jimmy Graham was down by helmet contact. And he drew a line across through the players and said, shut up, everybody. It was a first down. Even when he did that, I'm looking at the play, and his helmet, when he first touches down with his helmet, the play should be dead, right? The ball, where the ball is tucked in his arm, so it's below his shoulders even. And when he gets touched down on the ground at that particular moment, I don't see him. I see him just shy of the first down marker. That's how I see it. That's how I believed to portray that whole thing should have went down. It should not have been a first down, in my opinion. Jimmy, you share the same vision here, and I think that the Seattle Seahawks fans have a right to be a little pissed off about this. I do not think New York and the officials that were on the field dug into it enough to be able to come out with the right call. And it's not for us to say, but we can speculate all we want and say, hey, maybe they just wanted to end the game. Maybe they wanted the Packers to move on and not Seattle Seahawks. I don't know. We'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know.
But it's awfully fishy on how, just like you were mentioning, how they came out, announced the call, said it was a first down, and then all of a sudden they go back and look at more so-called quote-unquote more evidence. Well, what do you mean more evidence? Didn't you look at every angle possible? Isn't that the evidence that you go by? Why would you need to go back and look at something else and then come out with the same exact call? I thought it was over to look at that again. I thought that they were going to probably reverse it now because, we have new evidence. Okay, well, then that means you guys are going to, no, we're going to keep it the same way. What? All right, anyway. So that was one of those major calls that could have decided the outcome of the game, or might not have. We don't know that. Maybe the Green Bay Packers say, okay, we didn't get it, we're going to go for it anyway and do a quarterback sneak to get it. You know what I mean? We're not going to know. We're not going to ever be able to see that play go out and finish the game. But nonetheless, everybody's going to speculate about that call for a while, especially Seattle fans. And right now, we got the Packers and the Niners going up against each other. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think both games are going to be really good. I think they're going to be both exciting to watch. It's going to be interesting to see. We already seen what the Niners are capable of, especially healthy on defense. I want to see what the Green Bay Packers have up their sleeves to try to combat this defense. And then in the Chiefs and Titans game, that's going to be something that we haven't seen in a while. We haven't seen kind of like a Cinderella story like this in a long time, where it surprised literally everybody, even the so-called experts, that this team has not only beaten the number 1 seed, the number 2 seed, the 3 seed. Like they have an opportunity to make history right now. And if they can pull off one more win against these Kansas City Chiefs, the tough offense to deal with, it's going to be absolutely amazing. Titans fans are going to lose their crap over this. I mean, if they can pull out a win, I suspect riots happening in Tennessee. That's all I got to say.
There you go. Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup here this weekend. I'm excited for it. I know you are. There you go,
Absolutely.
Joe DeCapita, my other co-host here. He's joining us here in Florida, at Titusville, Florida. Couldn't wait to talk some football with us. We had to call him here tonight.
Absolutely.
Make sure he could get him on here on the show, and he'll be back soon.
Real quick, before
Sure.
we get off here,
Sure.
I got an announcement to make. The East Shrine game is going to happen this Saturday in Tampa. Guess where I'm going to be? I'm going to be in Tampa this Saturday. So I'm going to try to see if I can get in, maybe rub some elbows with some NFL personnel.
Excellent. Sounds good. Excellent. Way to go. Yeah, do your magic, whatever you can, Joe. I really appreciate it. Excellent. All right, so don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube at Football on the No Show. On Facebook, join our Facebook group, Football on the No Show, as well. Join there. Along in the conversation, have some fun. We have a lot of great members there. And follow us on Twitter, FB_no. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight, and we will see you next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the No with Jim and Joe.